Today we got the multiplayer gaming renaissance is here. This is about the rise of co-op and PvE games. Let's go.
Hey guys, video games kind of suck right now. There's a bunch of videos on YouTube that talk about that. They all just make me really sad. They talk about how games just don't really hit like they used to, partially because games have become so heavily corporatized. But
You know, I think that's probably the main reason. These large companies now that are being bought out, right? Activision Blizzard, they're on the stock market. Who else, bro? Microsoft, right? It's all business now, man. And when I was growing up, I never saw it like that.
spark that they used to. Nothing really revolutionary has happened in the last few years of gaming. I would argue that there's a few exceptions, let it be known, but anyway. But for most people, it's just kind of been at a lull. And sadly, I don't disagree about the state of gaming. I could talk forever about brain rot, but there
I mean, I don't think gaming is dead. Like you don't have to play all like the live service PvP games, right? Recently, James Bond game. I heard that was fucking amazing. Elden Ring, amazing. I think when people are saying people that say like gaming is dead, they only play the online multiplayer PvP with like the whole ranked system. If you ask someone who plays like an RPG or like story games, I don't think they think gaming's dead.
is one thing that gives me hope amidst it all. There's one little diamond that's glittering in the dust. This is something that I think has the potential to save both the soul and heart of gaming just as much as the business and the profit side of it. And that thing is co-op gaming. I'm not talking about big multiplayer games like
Can't make this shit up. I was just playing Valorant, bro. No fucking way. This gaming is dying because big corporations are buying out small studios, making them worse overall. I agree with that. And if they're not being bought out, they're scaling so much to where they need a bunch of money to continue operations, and then they're like like they just want money now. Their main focus is money. Whereas like these smaller games, their main goal is to make a game that's enjoyable, and just make people have a good time playing their game. But when you have shareholders, stakeholders, your main goal is to make money.
and whatever. I'm talking about the experiences that are tailor-made for a small group of people, if not just two. It Takes Two is probably the most notable example.
One of the best co-op games. If you have like a boyfriend or girlfriend, this is the game to play. The story's amazing. There's some parts where it kind of gets dragged out a little bit, but overall, it's tier game. And I think it won Game of the Year for that reason. Amazing game.
You and your homie basically take on the form of this couple that's working through a divorce. You break the news to your kid, and then you get shrunk down microscopically to some of the kid's characters. You go through a bunch of puzzles together, you explore together, you get absolutely traumatized together. It's really funny because you tell your kid you're getting a divorce, and then immediately, like, disappear from their life. The story itself is a
Yeah, I did question that. The whole point. So basically, the whole point is like the mom and the dad are getting divorced, and then they try to like, they go through a journey together. But through all that, bro, the kid is just what is the kid doing? The kid's just fending for herself, bro. It's like, wow, my parents are getting divorced, and then they just fucking dipped. Yeah, that is a crazy thing to think
about both characters. It's not just you and your friend watching the same story passively, you are both playing active and opposite roles in it. Fantastic. That's exactly the type of experience that I'm talking about. Now, do me a favor and think of 3 other co-op games.
All right. Before the rise, and I'm talking about like Repo and Lethal Company. Before that, you had this. And, like a really good one, Borderlands 2, bro. Borderlands 2 Couch Party. If you know, you know. And then Overcooked. That's all I got, bro.
Did you do it? First off, could you even think of 3?
Yes.
And second off, aren't they all one of the
Oh my god, Overcooked. Wait, what did I say? What's the other one? The other one I said? What? Oh, they put the other company on here. A Way Out. Oh my! I just played that. with my wife. Such an amazing game. She put me onto ball, low key.
These games, dare I say, probably, there are not that many co-op games out there, guys.
Wait a minute, the We Were Here series, I played that with my boy. Oh my god. Such an amazing game. It's called Oversaturation by pumping money into the economy of gaming and forces small corporations out, and making space out of the making gamers more dependent upon AAA game studios. Yeah, I think especially with game prices going up now, and the cost of games rising as well. Like GTA costs over like hundreds of millions of dollars. It kind of increases the entry level. So like if you want to make a game, the resources, because other companies are willing to pay more for it, the resources that go into making a game will go up. That's just basic like economy stuff. You know what I mean? Supply demand type shit. But yeah, it just sucks. Look at what happened to Steam Deck. Oh my god, bro! You see the Steam machine, dude? I mean, I think it was double the price that I thought it was gonna be. Fucking crazy. Because guess what? All the chips, all the RAM, they're all going to AI. Yeah, bro.
I swear it happens multiple times each year where I'm with a friend and we want to start a new game. So I go and I search, multiplayer co-op games.
I think I have the keyboard.
And
by the
every
way.
single time we get the exact same options. So my question was then,
League of fucking Legends.
why? Why is this the case? Is it because these games just don't sell? It Takes Two was 2021 Game of the Year, and it has sold 23 million copies as of a couple months ago. And before that, the
Damn.
same studio released A Way Out, and now they're doing Split Fiction. Those are both games that are tailor-made for two people specifically, and they both sold extremely well and very successfully. But okay, that's only one studio. Maybe we've got some survivor's bias here. Maybe we only hear about the success stories and there's just a ton of co-op games that fail. That's a valid point. Except it's not. Look at this study from VGI. VGI is a company dedicated to
she came
giving
with
and
the fucking data,
interpreting
okay.
video game statistics, okay? First off, the study defines co-op as a video game that allows players to work together as teammates, usually against one or more non-player character opponents. Great, so we're on the same page. Now get this. Only 6% of the games released on Steam in 2023 were co-op, but they make up over 36% of total games sold.
Wait, that's actually such an insane. If this is true, this is insane. 6% of games released in 2023 made 36% the units sold. No wonder these games rose in fucking popularity, because the demand for it was so high and there was so little supply.
They are described as being disproportionately popular. Even games that aren't dedicated co-ops but have co-op features sell significantly better than games that don't have any of it. The bottom 25% of co-op games sell twice as well as the bottom 25% of any other game. That is an insane statistic, guys. That is how desperate we are for co-op games, but I'm not surprised.
There's a study done on only Steam. That is true. So like, you also have to factor in like consoles, which by the way has the most amount of like couch play, right? Because you set up like a PS5 or an Xbox or a Switch, and then you play couch, because that's what it was kind of made for, especially back in the day. Whereas PC, it's kind of like a one person, or like a one person use kind of thing. So that's crazy though. It's just only on Steam.
Because that's not just for insanely impressive AAA or AA games. Look at something like Pico Park. It's a game for 2 to 8 people, and you kind of like, how do I explain this?
Pico Park, it has such a like a simple kind of like build to it, but it's picked up so much traction, especially when it first came out. I gotta respect it.
You kind of have to play around each other to solve puzzles and get through these different levels. You're jumping on each other's heads, you're trying to not push each other off ledges and get to different things. It was a lot of fun to play. And it's a very visibly simplistic game. It was literally made by one person and his friend who helped make the soundtrack. Yet even it was wildly successful. $5 price tag, and it sold millions of copies.
$5?
It's really not a rare success story either when you look at other co-op indie titles. You've got Content Warning, Lethal Company, Repo, or
Among Us. Among Us. The push to online games killed couch co-op. I think so. Look at Battlefield. You know, I played Battlefield 6. Yeah, it doesn't have any. Definitely has no couch play capability, but it's still a good game. But it's definitely more so like a AAA game rather than like a cheaper mid-tier game. But yeah, I think online games, and if you look at like games that used to be couch play or had that capability, they removed it, bro. I remember when Borderlands 3 came out, you couldn't play couch play for some reason. It was so lame. The player count dropped within 2 months. Yeah, yeah. Battlefield 6, it had the hype, but it couldn't sustain.
Think about how much all of those games took over the internet for a period of time. There are just not a ton of co-op games swimming around out there, even 5 years after COVID. Sorry, that's horrible to say. But even 5 years after COVID, when we discovered that these games can be successful, and even when small indie titles have made it clear time and time again that the barrier to entry is not insanely high. In fact, I would argue that the barrier to entry for designing a co-op game is even lower than it would be for a single-player game, because you're able to rely on 2 players or a small group to bounce back and forth and create their own fun. Now,
that is true. I think the magic of these games is that it could be any type of quality, just as long as if you can create like that kind of party vibe to it, or have like fun features to where 2 or more people can have fun just playing it just with each other. It's a huge factor. And we got to focus on the graphics, right? The better the game looks, the more money it's gonna take. It was one of the biggest development flop. Oh, Battlefield. Oh yeah, because they put a lot of money into RedSec. You know, RedSec was actually pretty good. I enjoyed RedSec. I actually played it a lot. I grinded RedSec with my boy.
now yes, programming the experience and developing a multiplayer game is a lot harder than a single-player one, but, from a game design perspective and how hard it might be to make a game fun, the game developer is no longer solely responsible for creating that experience for the player, because that player's friend or their friend group is now the other half of the equation. Co-op games let communication be a mechanic. The developer is still responsible for creating an environment where that communication can exist and where it can thrive, but they're kind of just planting the seed, and it's a very big seed, and there's a lot of code in that seed. But the 2 players are the ones that have to make it grow. Those 2 players are gonna get enjoyment just purely out of each other's company. That is just the beautiful and kind of adorable nature of human beings. Co-op games can be highly successful in terms of sales, but they also dominate in terms of public support and awareness. Do you remember the group of streamers that all played Among Us together during COVID?
Oh my
you had
God,
Hafu,
throwback.
Disguised Toast, AOC at one point. That was a fever dream. The one
That
dude
was
that
crazy,
had a really
actually.
nice voice. I remember him, don't worry.
What was his name? Oh my God, I'm blanking out on it. Oh, super low voice. He did music. What was his? The Corpse Husband.
But anyway, streamers like
No,
that
it was
are
on the fucking
why
screen.
Among Us was popular. When the game first released, it was not very big, and it didn't get traction until a bunch of streamers started picking it up. And then because of all the clippable, funny interactions with these groups of friends, the game blew up. Hang on. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I've never gotten to use this. I don't know if this will mix well with the green screen, but I got a plushie.
It also has a show that I heard is pretty good.
Yep, that's that. But anyway, like I said earlier, the players make the game just as much as the developers do when it comes to co-op experiences. Which makes it fun to not just be a part of the group that's playing it, but also to watch it. To watch a group of friends messing around, being idiots, seeing the different dynamics, the humor that comes from it. It's so funny and it can be so entertaining. I loved watching Markiplier play through The Forest with Bob and Wade, and I don't normally like Let's Plays. But there's also the Jackbox games, Content Warning, Minecraft, Repo, Lethal Company. The amount of content that has come from those multiplayer games, from creators, is astronomical.
I think the only issue with these games is that the life cycle is so short, unless you're like a game like Among Us.
Comical. The clips of the games that go the most viral are usually two people or a group of friends messing around in a co-op or multiplayer game.
True.
That is yet another reason to me why it's so surprising we don't have more co-op games. People streaming a game of their own free will is free marketing, man. I highly doubt that the one dude who made Pico Park paid streamers half a decade after the game's release to play it live. But he sure as heck reaped the benefits of that happening, and so did the onslaught of multiplayer games that all the big streamers got around to playing during COVID.
What game is this?
The same study that I referenced earlier from VGI even theorized that the streamability and the shareability of co-op games are largely responsible for why they're so disproportionately popular on Steam. My take on that is that for a lot of people, co-op games are reminiscent of physical
Is the heavy push of censorship in games. You can't say anything to anybody without offending someone, which can cause many games to be turned off. I think that's mainly true in like competitive, right? There's a lot of toxicity when it comes to these competitive games, especially rivals. Oh my god! And like after a tough rival session, all I want to do is play like a nice co-op game, you know?
playing games with other people. Couch co-op has largely died out. We haven't really seen that for a while. I didn't grow up with siblings. I'm an only child, which I'm sure is obvious, but anyway. I can't really speak to the experience of playing games with siblings on a couch or something, but I did have friends, and I have a dad, and we bonded by playing these games side by side together, and it was really cool, and it was really fun. And I'm definitely not the only one who has those memories and wants to recreate that feeling with our adult friends. I don't know what to say about the generation after me and the games that they're playing, because they're cooked, and that's a whole new video.
Ads.
But for me, and anyone around my age or older, we want that feeling again. That desire for human connection is fueled partially by nostalgia, which is one of the most powerful
Ooh, I didn't
feelings.
think
That's
about
why
like
those
that.
Minecraft edits hit so hard at 2 a.m. Yet there's still, even after this video,
Watching Minecraft edits at 2 a.m. I love that, bro.
there's still going to be a scarcity of co-op games. So realistically, why? Let's genuinely think about why this could be the case. Okay, problem number one is the technical requirement. Online multiplayer systems are in fact harder to make than single player ones, and that's just
Right, because you need like servers and you need that online connectivity.
talking
Makes a lot of
about being
sense.
able to have two people in the same session interacting with the same systems. You have to be able to handle synchronization issues, you have to be able to play test for both sides. Recreating bugs is just a genuine nightmare if something only happens when two people are doing a very specific thing at a very specific time. Even just setting everything up to run smoothly and reliably. Networking, I believe,
I
is the
could not
term
do
that's
any of this,
used
by
for
the
all
way.
that.
I could
There's
not.
also the task of needing to maintain game servers, sure. Unless you want to have one person host the game on their device, which can be unsafe and also depends on the network connection of the host, then you need dedicated servers, which is expensive. And thirdly, from a
Yeah,
design
crazy
perspective,
expensive.
it's just easier to create a controlled narrative experience if you're only trying to herd one person in the right direction. If the goal is to tell an impactful narrative story, then yes, single player will be easier to create than multiplayer. Now, all of those are real problems, and I'm by no means underscoring the effort.
The reason why there aren't many games in cooperative space is because many cooperative games are about once on the business model and then they're trying to push self-service games. Yeah, like a lot of these co-op games, there's not really like additional content, right? So once you buy the game, you just play it until like whenever. Whereas like games like Call of Duty and other stuff like Valorant, you have in-game purchases, and they grind out new skins or new characters that you can buy. So
That goes into developing a multiplayer experience. But they're really only problems if you can't get the sales numbers to justify them. Money makes the world go round, money makes gaming go around. Money is why games are single player or why they're multiplayer. And right now, yeah, you can make a game that makes money that's single player, or you can do it multiplayer, and there's a heck of a lot more competition and support.
my personal opinion, if a single player game can be made multiplayer, I think it should. Like multiplayer co-op. Obviously a game like God of War, you can't really have like two Kratoses running around. Like Elden Ring. I think Night Rain is the one where they made a co-op. Such a good idea. I don't know why they didn't do that before with like Bloodborne or Dark Souls. Unless they did, which I have no clue about. But if your game is single player, but you can like add maybe one more person for a co-op experience, I'd say do it. If you have the capability, I say do it.
Apply for single player, isn't there? There's some pretty insane statistics justifying multiplayer and co-op games, isn't there? Food for thought, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm also extremely biased and I really want more co-op games. See, pre-COVID, this video would be stupid because sales have not always backed co-op games. But the thing is, now they do, and it's a very clear upward trajectory that's firing towards the sun. It Takes Two winning 2021 Game of the Year really kicked it off, and call me insatiable,
True.
but there's still not enough. I need more. And that's just a static fact that there's not enough co-op games. In 2024, only 5% of the games released on Steam were co-op, and almost half of the co-op game sales total was Pal World sales, which is great. It was a very fun game.
I gotta check out Power World. There's been a spike of popularity. I think it's because the game's about to release. If you've played Power World, let me know if I should get it or not. I don't even know how much it is. I don't think it's that much money. Honestly, it's not like $80 or something. But it looks so fun. And the fact that they haven't been shut down by Pokemon, I'm all down for it, you know?
But I can only abuse fake Pokemon so much. I need some variety in the
Big
gene
Daddy.
pool here. Look, a big part of gaming is the human experience. Whether that's an artistic reflection of a story being told, enduring a challenge and overcoming failure, or
I would
by
never play this game.
experiencing the human
fucking way.
connection and bond that a co-op game can cultivate and grow. That is what the gaming industry needs. That's what's been missing in so many of these games that prioritize profit over player experience. But these co-op games can both bring in money for developers and reintroduce gamers to the beauty, humanity, and fun that video games once were and should be. Thesis, evidence, reasoning. I restated my thesis at the end. My English teacher would be so proud. Thank you for listening
okay.
to me talk about this for however long. I was literally so passionate writing this that I wrote the entire script for this video in under 2 hours in one session, which is
Round of applause
unheard
for,
of.
What's the channel name? Round of applause for Juniper Dev, bro. Let's go. W Video